Hey everyone, it's good to see you, single mom. Ada, it's good to see everybody. Um, Sorry about the previous two lives being canceled and the one that I can't delete. It's just been crazy around my house. The closer we get to the holidays, the crazier it gets. So, yeah, I caught a chance to go live, so that's why I'm going live now. It's usually earlier than usual, but got to get it in where I can, I guess. Um, this sweet face you see on your screen is Logan Bowman. I guess you pronounce it Bowman. And this is our Carroll County child that was unidentified. This is who it was. They finally identified him. So I thought that we would spend today looking into his case because I really don't know a lot of details in his case. I knew that a couple of the subscribers had mentioned, but hey, Love Solark, how are you? But yeah, I know his name was mentioned a couple times in comments on the Carroll County child that was unidentified video that we done, but I never really looked into it, so I thought we would do that today. But like I said, there he was. He was 5 years old when he went missing in January of 2003. This is DNAsolves.com. I like going on here and reading about cases because it gives you a quick little rundown of them. So that's what I figured we would start with. So in September of 2022, the remains of a child were discovered in Galax, Virginia, near Iron Ridge Road. Galax is bounded to the northeast by Carroll County and to the southwest by Grayson County. The Carroll County Sheriff's Office responded to the scene and found the child's body in a trash can that was placed in a wooded area. Hey, Connie, how are you? Investigators determined that the child was a white male and that he was likely 47 years old at the time of his death. It was estimated that the child's body was likely in the area for an extended period of time. At the scene, investigators also discovered a gray blue sleeping bag, a white Winnie the Pooh blanket with pink flowers, and a fragment of orange pink cloth. No identifying information could be collected from the scene, and therefore law enforcement investigators launched an investigation to determine the identity of the unknown boy. Details of the case were entered into the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System as UP99035. In 2023, the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, in collaboration with the Virginia State Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, submitted skeletal remains to Othram in the Woodlands, Texas. Othram scientists successfully developed a DNA extract from the skeletal remains and then used forensic-grade genome sequencing to build a comprehensive DNA profile for the unknown child. It is amazing what they can do, I must say. That just sounds so cool. It's amazing. I agree with you, Connie. I do too. Because I think this one's a case of the parents too, if I'm not mistaken. It's just been so long since we read about it. Oh, is it near you, single mom? I heard it's hit Carroll County pretty hard, but they're glad to have remains to lay to rest. At any rate, it goes on to say that Othram's in-house forensic genetic genealogy team used the profile in a genetic genealogy search to develop new investigative leads that were returned to investigators. In a follow-up investigation, Carroll County Sheriff investigators met with a potential genetic relatives of the unknown child. DNA comparison samples collected from two family members were used to establish the identity of the child as Logan Nathaniel Bowman of Galax, Virginia. Logan was 5 years old when he was reported missing from Grayson County, Virginia, under suspicious circumstances in January of 2003. Although Logan went missing in 2003, his body was not found until 2022. Details of his disappearance were entered into NamUs as MP5868, with notes that Logan had a healing fracture in his left arm from a previous injury, teeth decay, and burn scars on his feet. So obviously this baby been through a lot. Logan's biological mother, Cynthia Davis, was charged and pled guilty to 2 counts of child neglect, 1 count of homicide associated with Logan's disappearance and presumed death. Davis was sentenced to 20 years for the 2 counts of child neglect, with the sentence suspended to 30 years for homicide, with 15 years suspended. The mother's boyfriend, Dennis Danny Schmermerhorn. Bet you got picked on in school, dude. As you should have, the way you're acting. Was convicted of 1 count of child neglect and sentenced to 1 year in jail. Born February 15th, 1997, Logan Nathaniel Bowman would have been 26 years old if alive today. Okay, so single mom, you had asked earlier. You were closer than I was. He was 20. He would have been 26. Yeah, he's seen a lot in his little life, obviously. Oh, sorry about that. My house is still pretty loud. I apologize, guys. Single mom says some people shouldn't be allowed to have kids. I love that old saying, every child deserves parents, but not every parent deserves a child. Amen. We sure see that, don't we? We see that a lot in these cases. But it seems like mom didn't get much of a sentence anyways. So that was what they had on theirs. I had one of my subs send me a couple articles that was really good. One that his dad speaks in, so I thought we would. Yeah, this is it. I thought we would read over that one a little bit. There might be a video on here. I can't remember. Give me just a second here. So what it sounded like so far is that he was abused by mom and mom's boyfriend, right? Oh. So we'll go ahead and watch this if it'll let us.
200 people.
I sat down with her to learn what it takes to actually give families closure.
We just have to do our best to give them back their names.
Meet Laura Newell.
My job is to investigate all of the cases in the state of Virginia that have been unidentified for a long amount of time. And a long amount of time is relative.
Laura is the long-term unidentified coordinator for the Virginia Department of Health. Her job is to literally try and give people back their identities.
Most of the cases that come my way, we have no presumed identity. They are skeletal remains found in woods, which is the majority of my cases, unfortunately, are skeletal remains found in some sort of area where there is no information about who they might be.
According to the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System, or NamUs, there are currently 200 unidentified persons in Virginia.
To me, one is too many unidentified people. I'm a firm believer that everyone should have their name. When someone is referred to me, it hurts a little, that they have gone through this, that they are dead in whatever manner of death they experienced. They did it without someone knowing their name.
Laura is tasked with identifying them all. She says when they get to her, all leads have been exhausted. WFXR News decided to speak with her and learn about her work after reading the NamUs report about the child's remains found in a wooded area in the Iron Ridge area of Carroll County. They were found in a trash can back in September.
When you heard that they found remains miles from where he went missing.
What, 2.5 miles? It wasn't that far. Because he lived on Freeze Road there. So I thought, well, might be his. But we don't know yet, so we have to wait and find out. We ain't gonna say.
That's Alvin Bowman, or Wayne, as some people know him. He's hoping those remains belong to his son, Logan. He last saw the 5-year-old on Christmas 2002 before dropping him off with his mother, Cynthia Davis. He was reported missing the next month, January 2003.
So I can get it over with, so I can have him pop a barrier. We got a little headstone up our church for him. Yeah, it's got his picture in it.
The following year, Davis entered an Alford plea in Grayson County Circuit Court, meaning she did not acknowledge guilt, but agreed there's enough evidence to convict her of child neglect and homicide in connection with Logan's death. Court records show charges were filed against her then boyfriend, but later dismissed. Logan's body was never found.
They had to answer to God, not me. You have to forgive them. That's one thing you got to learn to do.
Does it help with the pain?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And talking about it sometimes helps a lot. A lot of people says you need to get over it, but you can't. You can't get over it. You love your kids.
In an email on Tuesday, Grayson County Sheriff Richard Vaughn writes, quote, "We have been working with Sheriff Kevin Kemp and the Carroll County Sheriff's Office regarding the unidentified human remains. Unfortunately, we don't have any new developments to report currently. Carroll County investigators are awaiting on additional DNA testing being conducted by the Virginia Department of Forensic Science. Everyone involved in this case hopes to have a positive identification on the human remains soon." For now, Logan's name sits among a long list of missing persons in Virginia. There are 335 people whose families don't know where they are or if they're even alive. I asked Laura if some.
I just had to stop it for a second there just to talk for a little bit here about it. Yeah, I do feel bad for him too. Connie said that she feels bad for him because his ex-wife did this to his son and him. Yeah, he had no control in this situation, I'm sure. Unfortunately, we see this a lot. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, man looked brokenhearted. I know the PMI was mentioned earlier. I think Loves to Lurk mentioned it, how far off it was, because we had this figured to be like within 5 years. And obviously this is looking like 20. So that's a difference of 15 years. And like Loves to Lurk said, she wonders how many more of the PMIs are off by that far. And I do too. So it makes me wonder what science is in behind that. So I'm going to be looking into that and seeing if there maybe somebody's got a video out on it. Maybe somebody's looked into it before. I don't know, but I'm going to go look. Shouldn't be allowed, single mom, but we know how these prosecutors do to wrap up these cases sometimes. But I'll continue playing the video. I just had to get that out there about the PMI and stuff.
Some of those people could be the identified persons currently in her care.
They absolutely could be overlapping. The issue is that sometimes the medical examiner is able to get information that they don't have on the missing person side.
She explains there could be a lack of dental records or fingerprints or no family to compare DNA. That's why she works tirelessly to give the people in her care their names back.
There could be family who's out there looking for this person and they don't know they're deceased. And I think that part of my job is to be the person that cares about all these people.
Now, she told me that in the next couple of months, she's hoping to have press conferences in different parts of Virginia to show people who the unidentified persons are from their communities.
Yeah, the FBI has done facial approximations to show different likenesses, which they hope will eventually jog someone's memory.
Bring families closer.
Yep. Also new tonight after the game,
Okay, I believe that was the end of that one. I have another one here, an article that I was going to read with you all. I have a box up, so I'm sorry if I'm missing some stuff in chat. I can't get it to go back down. Yeah. No clue why. Well, guys, my StreamYard is doing something funky. Give me just a second here. Guys, I might have to log off and log back on. Because here we go. Never mind. I don't have to do that. It just fixed itself, kind of. I just can't see all the comments, but that's okay. That is okay. StreamYard does. Me and StreamYard has a... It works my nerves sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, I was one of those, like, No, can't be summer. The PMI's off. I really was. That's the way I thought. I thought it was that exact because I do remember Googling about the PMI and they take into account the weather conditions in the area and all that. So I thought it would be more exact. But if they're all like that, then what good does the PMI really even do? Yeah, just yell at me if I need to see something that I've missed. But let me see if I can pull this up here. Let's see what this one is. Is this the one that I just, let me see real quick. One of these had a little bit more of his backstory in him. Okay, so this one says that Bowman's biological mother, Cynthia Davis, and her then boyfriend, Dennis Schermerhorn, were charged in 2003 in connection to his disappearance. The sheriff's office said that this was still an ongoing investigation and new charges are anticipated. So hopefully there's more that they can charge mom with too. But I know single mom had mentioned that she took an Alfred plea. Where'd you read that at? It's always good to see a list of teams that long that they pulled out to identify someone. I think anyways. Okay, that's all on that one. I think I've got one more that I had pulled up. I agree, Ada. I absolutely agree. Because I had everybody tunneled in on an exact time frame. Right. Where did you read that at, single mom? I'll pull that article up. If you can remember. If not, I'm sure we'll find it on Google somewhere. Let's see what this one was. This one might have had some backstory in it. I can't remember. I'll scan it real quick. I'll spare you all the same details we had been looking through. Okay. So it does say throughout the investigation, authorities said it was determined that the remains had been at the location for an extended period of time. So I wonder if it'd been there the whole time because his dad said within 2.5 miles. I think this is information that we have done seen. Well, this is a little bit more detail on what they got. Authorities said Logan's biological mother, Cynthia Davis, and her then boyfriend, Dennis Schermerhorn, were charged in 2003 by Grayson County in connection to the disappearance of Logan. As we reported previously, Schermerhorn was sentenced to a year in jail and a $2,500 fine. His most serious charge, felony murder, was dismissed back in 2004 due to lack of evidence in the case. Davis entered an Alfred plea to second-degree murder charges in April of 2004. She was set to serve 15 years in prison. According to the sheriff's office, this is still an ongoing investigation with new charges anticipated. So maybe where they charged her like felony murder and second-degree murder, maybe they've got some other charge that they can give them. I don't know. I have no clue how that works. I'm going to try to catch up on the comments here. On the last one, I missed that when I was trying to click through StreamYard, I guess. Yeah, I'd say those charges were dismissed without prejudice, so they were able to bring stuff back up then, I hope. Well, let's see. So in 2004, and she got 15 years, she'd have to be out unless she got back in. She'd have to. I haven't ever dug her, Cynthia Davis. I don't know. Does Virginia have a site, single mom, that I can look up inmates on? Or, but yeah, I mean, as far as for that sentence, she would have to be. Should have been released back in 2019 on that one if she pulled the entire, well, no, actually sooner than that. I forget how the months run. Some of y'all might know how prison, jail, all them time, how that goes. Yeah, I would think Davis might be turning on her boyfriend too. Well, I don't know if she took it out for police. She has no reason to. But the sheriff's office is saying that this is an ongoing investigation and new charges are anticipated. So, I don't know. Galax is in Carroll County, so true. Her current last name may be something else. I'm going to dig her a little after a while. I just try not to dig individuals on live because when I dig them, I run them, and I don't want to do all that live because if I don't want to put people's personal information, no matter who it is, out there like that. Not really. I would think so too, that they're anticipating charges on them both, because even if they can get her for something minor and it be the maximum 25 years, that's 25 more years. That's a little more justice for Logan. I may have to, let me see here. There has to be somewhere that has more of a backstory on him. I'm going to go to Google real quick and just Google him and see what pops up. Here, I'll share my screen so you guys can look too. Let's see here. This is WFLA. I really like them. This is all still the same information. Okay, Connie, you have a good walk with your pupper. Your cute little pupper. Speaking of pupper, single mom, how's Molly doing? Oh no, I just clicked off the links that I just had pulled up. Sorry, guys. We shall find them again. Let's see. Give me a second here. I clicked off the wrong link. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far into it yet. Ada said that she sent me a link that talks about that. So I'm going to go over to my email and I'm going to grab that link and going to see what I can find here. Going to see what we can figure out. You think it was that National Desk one? Okay, let's see if it's this one. Okay, this is an article from the National Desk. Ada, thank you for sending this to me. There's sweet Logan Bowman. It says human remains found in Galax, Virginia in 2022 have been identified as 5-year-old boy who went missing 20 years ago. Talks about in September when the remains were found. Talks about the private company based in Texas they used for the DNA comparisons for the family members. Says Bowman was a 5-year-old child who went missing in Grayson County in January of 2003. Bowman's biological mother, Cynthia Davis, and her then boyfriend, Dennis Schermerhorn, were charged in 2003 in connection to his disappearance. The sheriff's office said this is still an ongoing investigation and new charges are anticipated. And then it goes on to list the companies or the organizations that help them and thanking them. Let's see. Was that the one that you were talking about, Ada? Okay. Give me a second. Let me pull this one up. Is this about the trial? Okay, yeah, here we go. Give me a second to share this screen here. Yeah, just 3 pounds. He was a tiny little thing. Loves the lurk. Got you. Okay. Okay, so Lawrence Hammock. Go over and give this one a read, I guess. It says lack of boy's body won't stop murder trials. This is from January of 2004. Death loomed early for Logan Bowman, who weighed just 3 pounds, 15 ounces at birth. The premature infant's father, Wayne Bowman, remembers holding his son in the palm of his hand and dressing him in clothes from a Cabbage Patch doll. Oh my God, how precious. I called him my little miracle baby, Bowman said. 7 years later, Bowman is hoping for another miracle. Logan has been missing for a year. Repeated searches have turned up nothing, but his father still clings to the hope that somewhere and somehow Logan is safe. As long as they don't show you a body, you've got to keep it in the back of your mind that the boy is still alive, Bowman said. Authorities are not so optimistic. They have filed murder charges against Logan's mother, Cynthia Lee Davis, and her boyfriend, Dennis Schermerhorn. The two people who repeatedly saw the 5-year-old boy in their mobile home, or reportedly last saw the 5-year-old in their mobile home on the outskirts of Galax. Davis told authorities that on January 8, 2003, Schermerhorn took her son after he suffered hot water burns and left him in the care of relatives, according to earlier testimony. But Davis waited until January 26 to report Logan missing. By then, Schermerhorn was telling people that it was Davis who left the boy and returned without him. Hampered by confusion and delay, investigators started a cold down a trail that will soon lead to a Grayson County courtroom. Trials for Schermerhorn and Davis, scheduled for February 13th and March 18th, respectively, will raise a question rarely posed in a Virginia courtroom. Can someone be convicted of murder when there is no direct evidence, a corpse, that a murder was committed? So that's probably what explains why she got to take an Alfred plea, single mom. Explains exactly why, because they didn't have anything like that, I'm sure. I'm sure if they had more like that, they would have been able to. Oh, that is heartbreaking, Ada. Very heartbreaking, very heartbreaking. It can be an autopsy photograph of a bullet-riddled body or the chilling testimony of an eyewitness or perhaps a confession from the killer. In most murder trials, one thing is obvious: someone died. but proving what is given in most cases could be the greatest challenge for Grayson County's Commonwealth Attorney J.D. Bolt in the upcoming trials for Davis and Schermerhorn. I cannot hardly say his last name, so we're just going to start calling him Schumer. I don't know. According to interviews with lawyers, prosecutors, and law professors, under Virginia law, every conviction requires proof of corpus. I can never say this, but anyways, the Latin term for body of a crime is essentially proof of a criminal act, whether it's the body of a murdered man, the signature on a forged check, or the charred remains of a house burned down. But prosecutors need not show a corpse to prove it in murder cases. Courts in Virginia and elsewhere have ruled as long as they establish through convincing circumstantial evidence that a person was killed. A jury may properly take into account the unlikelihood that a person would disappear voluntarily in the disappearance being circumstantial evidence entitled to the same weight as bloodstains and concealment of evidence. The Virginia Supreme Court ruled in the case of Stephen Epperly. Epperly was found guilty in 1980 and sentenced to life in prison for murdering a Radford University student whose body was never found, in the state's first murder conviction in which there was no body, no eyewitness, and no confession. Still, the lack of a body makes the prosecutor's job much tougher. It adds an additional level of practical difficulty, said Ann Coughlin, a professor of law at the University of Virginia. The prosecution is going to have the burden of presenting evidence that explains the absence of a body, as well as going on to establish that the accusation that the accused committed the murder. Just because someone is missing, jurors might think, does mean he or she is dead. How many people wrote off Tom Hanks in Castaway? Salem Commonwealth's attorney Fred King said, that's obviously a Hollywood version, but there are many cases in which people drop out of sight for a number of reasons. The key for prosecutors is to find enough circumstantial evidence to prove murder in the absence of a body, said Everett Shockley, a Pulaski County attorney who prosecuted Epperly. In Epperly's case, shockingly called witness to testify that the victim, Gina Hall, was a shy woman unlikely to accompany the defendant to a Clayton Lake cabin, where prosecutors said she was beaten to death after refusing to have sex, and it was equally unlikely family members testified that Hall would have just disappeared and cut off all contact with her loved ones. The case was bolstered by the discovery of Hall's bloody clothes, and when a tracking dog led police from Hall's car to the doorstep of Epperly's home 2 miles away, the defendant infamously remarked, "That's a damn good dog." I'm going to check chat a little bit. Well, it didn't stop them from having the trial, because I think they didn't have his body until 2022. So goes on to say more about that. Sorry, I hate skipping over this. It's just not pertinent. Why would a mother want to kill her own child is a question that the prosecutors need not answer in the case of Cynthia Lee Davis. After first charging Davis with child neglect and the disappearance of Logan Bowman, Grayson County Commonwealth attorneys J.D. Bolt obtained an indictment in July, so that it also accuses her of felony murder. Unlike first-degree murder, which includes malice and premeditation, felony murder only requires proof that someone committed a felony that resulted in an unintended death. An example is selling drugs that later cause a fatal overdose. Felony murder is punishable by up to 40 years in prison. Bolt declined to comment on the case earlier this week. Defense attorneys for Davis and Schermerhorn could not be reached. So it sounds like they stayed pretty quiet. So this goes on just to talk about that there was no confession until I guess that was after the trials when the confession was. That was the Alford plea, I'm sure, is what they're considering the confession, because on here it says that there wasn't one. Let me see something here. Hang on a second, guys. Okay, so I just got sent kind of a rundown of his background, so we're going to go on to that. This is just talking about what was happening before court, and we know she took the Alford plea. Just a second, guys. Just a second. Guys, I have a little one needing me, so sorry I'm going to have to cut and run here at 35 minutes in, but we will continue this as soon as he decides to take a nap, which should be in the next hour or two, but I will come back on and we'll continue from here. I'll leave everything up, but thank you guys for joining me, but I have to go tend to little man. Talk to you all shortly. Bye.